Hey, this Sunday after watching church online, at home, on the couch, just to get some fresh air, drove by Walmart. Here's a picture. It looked like Black Friday. So we went for a drive into the country, came back a few hours later. I thought I'd pick up some stuff at Home Depot. Here's a pic. And when I looked, I saw all the crowds, and I figured that it just wasn't worth the hassle, so I went home. But I did come to the conclusion that what we can do is my church, where I'm the pastor, we should just go on and have worship at the plumbing aisle at Home Depot. Think about that. I could have worship, we could gather for worship in the aisle of any of these many mega stores open, ask the people to step aside and have worship. It would be completely legal. It would be a nuisance, but it would be legal. But if I were to go just down the street, a couple blocks to my church building and do the same thing, it would be illegal. So I want you to think about that for a moment. Are you one of the millions of Americans stuck at home who are unable to biblically worship the Lord? And is that because of safety, or is that because of the governor's pen? Hey, my name is Josh Aiken, and I'm a pastor in Waynesboro, Virginia. And for the last 6 weeks, we have closed down our normal worship services for 6 weeks because we wanted to help keep people safe. But something's happened recently in our community, perhaps in yours as well. People feel safe again. So if you are one of those people in our communities who does feel safe again, what's keeping you from practicing biblical worship? Think about that. If it's not safety, is it not just one man's pen? Think about Daniel in the Bible. He lived in a time when the king wrote with his pen the law that said, no man can pray to anyone but me for 30 days or suffer the penalty of the lion's den. What does Daniel go ahead and do? Well, he goes to his room, it says, and 3 times that day, as he always had before, he opens his windows, he gets down on his knees, and he prays to the Lord, as was his custom. He didn't change a thing. Don't you understand? Daniel knew he didn't have to open the windows for God to hear his prayer. Come on. He doesn't have to kneel for it to be prayer. He could go for a walk. He could have hid it. He doesn't have to open the windows and be seen by others. He could have been quiet about it. He could have kept it to himself. He did none of those things because he calls God Lord, just like you and I. And he knows that when you say, God, you're Lord, that's saying, God, you have the highest authority over me in my life. Don't you understand? When I say, God, you're Lord, that means he has authority higher than anyone else over matters of conscience, over matters of my heart, over matters of my expressions of worship, certainly over everything in my life. But if not how I express myself to God, then nothing. He is either God of all or God not at all. Think about Peter in the Bible. There he is. He's preaching the gospel in the temple. Was he so foolish? There he is, where the Pharisees and Sadducees and the high priest had just nailed Jesus to a cross. And yet, there he was. And then they took him away to the prison. And I suspect that night he must have been thinking, why did I do that? This is Acts chapter 5, by the way. Why did I do that? Maybe I should have just preached in the homes. Maybe I should have just preached in the alleyway or in the small villages. Why did I have to go where the authorities said I couldn't? Until an angel comes to his prison cell. You know the story, Acts 5. And he sets Peter and John free from the jail cell, and he tells them one message that I believe we need to hear today. He says, go to the temple, speak of this life. When we tell people that God is Lord, then maybe they'll remember, probably not. Maybe they'll understand or not. Maybe they'll pay attention, probably not. But when you show them that he is Lord, you are giving them a choice to make him Lord for themselves. Listen, my church, Grace Built Church, is reopening May 10th. We're going to keep it safe. We're going to practice social distancing. It's going to be a safer than Home Depot, that's for sure. But most importantly, we are going to keep worshiping the Lord in a biblical way. If you are a pastor, stand with us. I challenge you, I ask you, I pray for you to open the doors of your church May 10th and show your community exactly what you have been preaching. And if you are a believer, go to your pastor and tell him you'll support him, you'll stand with him, you'll do everything you can to help your church open on May 10th. Because listen, one church cannot move the governor's pen, but together we will. Let our churches reopen May 10th.